Hi, and welcome back to another writing vlog where we are fully in first draft mode, and it is chaotic. I've talked quite a bit now about how long it has taken me to get to this stage in this project. For whatever reason, I have gotten stuck in world building, I've gotten stuck in outlining, I've gotten stuck in so many different parts of this process that has stopped me from getting to the first draft. And I am very, very happy to say that I am finally drafting. I'm writing words. I am making sentences and actually bringing this novel to life. I've written about 4.5 chapters now. We're getting into the inciting incident, the thing that really kickstarts both of my POVs, and then they're going to split and branch off and go their separate ways. But this inciting incident is the same for both of them. It propels both of their storylines in very different ways. In addition to drafting, I must admit that I have also done a little bit more tweaking with the outline, and that's not quite finished because so this is why I think it's good to prepare and to outline everything in advance, but also to have a little bit of flexibility. There were certain things in my outline that I knew were not 100% defined and 100% concrete, and maybe even that needed to change, but I just wasn't quite sure. So I did leave a couple of somewhat vague plot points in my outline. And now that I've started the draft, now that I also am starting to get more of a feel for these characters, because the characters were defined but not 100% clear to me until I start writing. So I was focusing more so on plot points in my outline and a little bit on character and what I wanted them to accomplish, but their full, I guess, character personality was not there. And it's not there after 4.5 chapters either. There's been a couple chapters in each viewpoint. It's gone, every other. So I'm definitely getting to know both of these characters. And in doing so, and in kind of planning ahead those next scenes that are coming after this inciting incident, I have realized that there's a couple of things that don't quite mesh, and I'm taking another look at the outline. And I think with more, thinking about the outline from a slightly different perspective now that I've written a few chapters, it is starting to come together better and better. And I think I've figured out a couple of the things that were missing from my original ideas for where this needed to go. And I've rethought those, and I have a better idea of what I want to do with that. So right now, I have thrown all of my ideas into a note because yesterday was a huge brainstorming afternoon for me. I spent several hours of a bank holiday here in Canada just rethinking everything, questioning everything. And for the first time, I actually talked to my husband in great, great, great detail about this book. I have never bounced ideas off of him like this before. He is not a fiction writer. He does love to read. He reads very different things from me sometimes, and then we also have some crossover. And yesterday, I was a little bit frustrated at the beginning of the brainstorming session. Thankfully, spoiler alert, it does end better than it started. But I was getting quite frustrated because I felt like I was kind of up against a wall again when I was realizing certain things weren't quite meshing. So I talked to him, and I explained kind of from square one, went all the way back to the context of the world as much as he needed to know. It was quite an info dump, though, let's be real. I talked about my characters, I talked about the different places that they were going to go, and about the certain things that were just not quite meshing for me. In particular, some character motivations or what might cause a certain outcome that I wanted to happen. Buddy, do you wanna stop? After a lot of, explaining and info dumping to him, he was able to ask some really important questions, kind of show me where maybe I was missing certain things, or draw some dotted lines for me to think about, basically. And it also kind of pointed me in certain directions that I was already considering. So it was a lot, and I just took a bunch of notes, wrote everything down, and today is the fun part, sort of sarcastic, of going through all of those notes and actually putting them into a somewhat modified Save the Cat beat sheet, which is what I was working on before. The process has already started. I did already start to take some of those things and apply it to one of my POVs, but the other POV I have not started applying those kind of new ideas to, and that first one that I've already started working on has a lot more to do. I'm very excited for the next steps. They are going to be difficult. They are going to be maybe a little chaotic, but it's all part of the process. Hi again, little update. So it has been 2 multi-hour heavy-duty writing sessions now that I have been working solely on the plot. Once again, I'm back in the outline. This has been a lot more extensive than I expected, but it's been so much more helpful as well. I'm feeling so much more in control of the story now, and I thought it would be fun to do a little update now, not only to let you guys know that this has actually become a little bit more extensive than I was expecting, but I'm feeling like really good about it actually, even though I'm still not done. The first session I would dedicate to what I would consider my sort of secondary POV, although the more I develop it, the more I wonder if it's going to take up as much page time as my other POV. I don't know, we'll see. But I dedicated it to that one, and then today I have been working on my other POV, my kind of primary POV, but again, that is changing every day a little bit. Now I've gotten both of my POVs up until the finale section, which is where they are going to come together. So this is where I need to make sure that things are pretty solid from both sides. Honestly, none of these edits would be possible in my outline if I hadn't started writing the book. This is something that I'm learning, I guess, as I go, because every project brings with it new challenges, and maybe after I've written 15, 20, 25 books, I'll really know my process, but I'm starting to really realize that until I have done this process many times, it's gonna be always a little bit of a mystery what's gonna work with each story. So in this case, the outline was absolutely necessary. I couldn't have written the first chapters without that first outline that I wrote, but now that I've written those first chapters, I couldn't have improved the outline in the ways that it needed to be improved and fixed those vague things or those potential problems that I had in the original outline until I'd started to write those chapters. So this whole process is becoming very non-linear for me. It's not at all what I expected. The organized part of me, which is like the entire part of me, my entire brain, prefers things to be organized and structured and well planned. But honestly, I'm feeling good about my story overall, so even though the process is messy, I'm trusting it, I'm going with it. If I see a real problem and I feel like I have a moment to fix it or an opportunity to fix it or the right mindset to fix it, I'm gonna allow myself to do that. My options now are to do either one more good session on the outline and try and work through the finale and see where I am and see if I still want the finale to be what it is, or to trust what I've done so far, to trust that I have very solid plot points and beats to get me all the way to the finale, and then trust that those beats will come together properly and that whatever needs to be changed in that finale can be changed when I get closer to it. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, what I'm feeling like maybe would be the best solution would be to stop with the outline for now, go back to writing, and what I think is probably going to happen is something like what happened in this case, where as I start to write more chapters, but still long before I'm actually writing the finale, I'm going to start to figure out what I want it to be. Again, I have a pretty solid idea of where it's going more or less, but there's definitely some things that need to change in how the characters get to where they get, and also in certain arcs and certain things that need to be resolved, basically. I have enough of that figured out that I think I can afford to have some question marks still in the finale. And I suspect once I get through a quarter or a third or even half of the book in terms of actually drafting the chapters, that I'm gonna know what to do with that finale. And then I can pause like I've done here. I think I am on the right path, and I am just so happy. This project is coming together so well, despite the chaos. So yeah, that is where we are for today. I will hopefully have a cool update for you at one point. Hopefully I'll be able to add a clip to the end of this vlog that is actually some feedback on the drafting itself, because the writing part is really fun so far. I'm loving the tone that I'm sort of figuring out, and each of my POVs has a different tone that is more or less, I think, coming through in this first draft, but it's definitely going to be something that I will have a lot of fun with in revisions, I already know. 2 POVs is fun. It was not fun, really, in outlining. It was more challenge than fun, I think. And now that I'm actually drafting, it's more fun than challenge, although it is a hearty dose of both. Anyway, I'm gonna get going, and I will talk to you very soon on another writing day. Hello again, welcome back to the vlog. I've decided to record standing up today. I don't know why, but it just felt right, so we're going with it. Drafting has resumed, and it is going really well so far overall. I have had at least one day that wasn't the greatest session. I really felt blocked all day, and I think it was just one of those, sometimes you just have a day where words are not flowing, inspiration is not there. But I tried, I failed. I did end up writing a little bit, but it definitely was not as much as I wanted, and it definitely took me a lot longer to get the word count that I did that day. The next session, I wrote almost double that amount of words in a fraction of the time, so it definitely was really just that day that was not good. Today, I also had another writing session, and it went super well. I have just written a chapter that actually half of it is from the perspective of a different character who is not one of my two main point of view characters, and this is something that I have done before. My last book, Among the Gifted, I did have some chapters inserted throughout that were not from my main POV, even though it really was basically a story told from one POV. This one is told from two POVs, but I will have at least that one chapter, possibly another chapter from that same person, that same third person's perspective. And then I am dabbling with the idea of potentially wanting to, I don't know exactly the justification, add potentially another POV for just a chapter or two later on in the book. I haven't decided if it'll be necessary. I haven't decided if I want to. And also, I looked at my total word count and it's getting kind of steep. At this point, I'm not sure exactly what percentage of the plot that I've written, but I'm definitely still in that first quarter or so of my plot. And I already have, apparently, according to the word count that I'm looking at, over 17,000 words, which is a lot. I used to think I was an overwriter. My last book, I ended up adding quite a bit, and the original word count wasn't terrible. So I say terrible as in it wasn't exorbitantly too much, which was a new problem for me because the book I wrote before was way too long. But I'm thinking maybe I am a little bit of an overwriter, or at least this project might tend towards overwriting. But I think that's okay because there's a lot of stuff that's happening kind of behind the scenes of my main plot, and I think I'm trying to put in hints, put in, I don't know, subtle touches that imply maybe a little bit more than I need to. And possibly I also have a little bit, not info dumping, but just maybe a little bit too much about the world as a whole that I'm throwing in here because I'm so excited to tell more about this world. I spent a lot of time world building. I really want it to pay off, but maybe there's a little bit more than I need for this stage of the book. I don't know, but I'm gonna roll with it. I'm just gonna keep on drafting, and if I end up with something that's over 100,000 words, I'm just gonna go with it. I do think that I'm writing this one to not be YA. I haven't fully decided that it's not YA because the original idea I thought it would be, but I'm writing it as an adult fantasy at this point. I don't have any sort of age category specification in my head, and that will affect my final word count, what I determine should be the word count of this project based on that category. But we're not deciding, and again, we're not going to stress about word count. I'm telling you this, but I'm also reminding myself this. We're not stressing. Overwriting is okay. I have successfully skimmed down a draft before and cut thousands of words just in revising and tightening up my prose and tightening up, info dumping and other things like that before. I've done it successfully before, so I can do it again if I need to. With all of that said, I'm gonna wrap up this vlog here. I hope you've enjoyed coming with me on the adventure that has been these first few chapters. I am so happy to be in first drafting again. I'm also really happy to be able to bring you a vlog about first drafting. It's been a very long time since I've been in this stage and been able to share about this stage with you. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely don't forget to give the video a like if you have. Let me know what you want to see next from me, if there's anything in particular that you're curious about my project. I definitely plan to continue to make writing vlogs as I'm first drafting, and of course as I go on to revisions and whatever else is in store for me in the future with this project. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite part about first drafting, because if you can't tell, I am very excited to be in the stage and I would love to continue to talk about it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon in another writing video.